And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
According to the back of the box, Prolix means excessively verbose or wordy. You know anyone like that? Not in this video. Prolix is a game, a word game, and it says on the box that it can go from 1 to 5 players, and it can. Although the one-player game really isn't that interesting. I find the two-player duel very interesting, but you can play multiple players. But when you're playing this game, you're most definitely going to want to play with people who have a good vocabulary. This is the kind of game that is going to appeal to those who like Scrabble. You have a high vocabulary, this one's for you. Let's look at it. So here's the board for Prolix. We reach into a bag that has tiles of many different letters, and we place those letters on the board here. As you can see, some letters have bonus points on them, like that X does, but you can never have more than 2 tiles out that have bonus points. So you can see the Y, and you can never have 2 of more of the same letter. So there's 2 H's, and that's fine, but there's not allowed to be 3 H's. On your turn, you're basically trying to come up with a word that embodies the letters here. So let's say, for example, on my turn, I picked Shrike. Okay, now that's probably a pretty, or Shriven, or I don't know, Shrivel. Alright, so I have S, H, and I, R, and I don't get anything else. So I get 3 points, 3 points, and 4 points. That's a whopping total of 10 points, which is actually pretty terrible. And in case you're thinking I'm really bad with words, check out these scores here, 17, 16, 16, 18. So anyway. Oh wait, that was my wife's scorecard. But still, I could do it if I wanted to. But anyway, here's the points. And so once you figure out the points, you put that down on your card. Again, adding in the bonus points for these. We then wipe off the 2 lowest, move this down, and we add 2 more letters from the bag, and it's the next person's turn. Now, one of the things about this game is, if on your turn someone else sees a word, they can interrupt and write that word down on their scoring sheet. The problem with writing a word down on the scoring sheet, and we see interrupt scoring, is because you lose points for it. And the interrupts at the end of the game will take the place of your lowest scores, even if the interrupt actually is lower than your lowest score. There's also a system of challenges. If you think someone said a word that's not really a word, then you can challenge that and they can lose points, or you can lose points if it actually is a word. But that's basically the way the game works. There's a certain number of rounds, and then you add up the points. A 2-player game, which I find pretty interesting, more so maybe than the 3-player game, both players are using the same 8 letters each turn. And as soon as one person has found a word, they write the word down, they say how many points it is, and then they flip a 45-second timer over, and that's how much time the opponent has to come up with a word. And then you just add up the points at the end of the game and win. It's a pretty good back-and-forth game. So the rules actually come with scoring sheet for 1 player, where you play against yourself, 2 players, 3 players, and 4 players, or 5 players, which use the same scoring sheet. And there's a scoring sheet for each of those. There's a decent amount of scoring sheets in the game, and that's how you play Prolix. Prolix is an interesting game, but I have to start out by saying that it falls into the same trap that I have with Scrabble. Not trap, but negative statement against the game. And that's the fact that while Prolix is fun and interesting, it's going to come down to who's better with making up words. And the person who's better is going to wipe the floor with other people. Now that may not be a problem, obviously, because Scrabble is such an immensely popular game. And so I think people that would like this, because you have to glance at 8 letters, just like the 7 letters in your tile rack, and come up with a word. But the thing is, you can use as many other letters as you can. You're just trying to get as many of the big points in there as possible. There's 4 letters that are worth 4. You want to try to get all 4 of those letters if possible, because that's 16 points. And then see what else you can fit into the mix. I guess there's different strategies on how to do it. Obviously, the person with a bigger vocabulary is going to do better at the game. Like I said, the different forms are fun, but I like the 2-player duel just because it's first person to think of a word, give the other person 45 seconds. Sometimes you might not think of the best word, but you think of it quickly, which forces your opponent to come up with their word in 45 seconds. So while I enjoyed playing this game, it's not great, it's not a superb board game. In fact, there's nothing here that's really new and innovative, but it works. It's a solid, decent word game, and I think some people are going to like it a lot.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.